Yeah. So the biggest thing, to be honest, was, so my wife and I, we've been together, married for 10 years, been together for 11 years, got married right after the Marine Corps, one big transition to another, you know how
Mm,
that goes. But
yeah.
this last year, she dropped the D word on me twice when we were arguing. And, I'm one of those people that's just very committed. So like when your significant other drops that, it's almost like a dagger to the throat. It's like, I can't top that, and
So she mentioned divorce twice. Like, what was leading up to all that, and then what happened when she said that?
yeah. So the biggest thing that we have is, I will tell you, like in every relationship, like we're both alphas, right? So we both have very strong personalities. We're both very opinionated. We both have trauma in our past, I'm a war veteran. She had, some abusive parents and stuff, but she's a very successful salon business owner. Like she's very good. She's very intelligent. And it's almost like she doesn't need me. So when we do get in these little tiffs, it's like we try to one up each other, and then sometimes Sergeant Smith comes out, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? So we get like this alpha competing competition and arguments. Like we're really good together when we're good, but when it starts to get bad, and then we have a 3-year-old little girl, and
Mhm.
she is the love of our life. She is just the cutest little thing. I know every parent says that, but
No,
yeah, but when she's going like this, and it
that's heart
breaks.
wrenching, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
she
yeah,
she mentioned the divorce, and what was like the second time she mentioned it? Now you're like, oh, she's serious. Now I got to seek help. Is that what kind of went down, or?
yeah. She was like, I mean, it wasn't physical, but like she would jab her finger in my face, and all of a sudden I think she got too close, and like she hit my lip. And it wasn't like an assault or harassment or anything like that, but I think it scared her and it scared me, or it's like we both froze, like, whoa, like we made physical contact in an argument, and that's never happened, you know what I mean? And it freaked us both out, and that's not what we want for each other. And so I've been in like this, like I know some guys in the program, like they've already gone down the road of divorce and separation. I want to be in this preventative phase. Like I don't want to get there. Like it's almost like the weight loss phase. Like I've put on this weight, I don't want to gain any more, so I need to start losing weight, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
So you came into the program how long ago?
I want to say it was like 2 months ago or a month and a half. Yeah.
Mm,
So yeah, everything is just like so far has been incredible, incredibly helpful. Like I feel like I've had like, I know I'm only on level 1, but like I've done so much work on myself, and like I've written my first CLC, and like Jessica thought that's my wife, and Jess, she thought it was like life changing for her to see like how I was able to put those things on paper and like recognize like it was just everything that I was doing wrong, and I put it
mm.
into words that she could understand. And um, yeah, it was just, yeah. So the CLC was really helpful. So yeah.
Before we go into the other two things that you've done that really got you to where you're at now, like where are you at now? Like how have things changed?
Yeah. So the best things that I can tell you is, like, I mean, we've never really stopped having sex, but like the way I mean, you're a guy, I can tell you like we're connecting, like it's really good sex, you know what I mean? It's not just like a chore, you know what I mean? So
Mm,
um like the way that she talks to me, it's like I'm starting to like establish a little bit more confidence, like I'm always a confident person. I have that type A personality, but I work from home remotely. I work for the government, so it's like I never really get out of the house, so I'm really trying to own my space. So I'm starting to like be more mindful. Like Liz was super helpful of, you know reflective listening. Like I tell people all day to do reflective listening, but like I can't do it for myself. She's like, listen to your wife, put your arm around her. Like, and then the guy that I spoke to during my initial orientation, he brought up this great example. Like, okay, so like when your daughter gets hurt or she falls down, like what do? You go up there and give her a hug, put your arm around her, tell her everything's going to be okay. He's like, but you do that to your wife. And I said, no, she's an adult. But he's like, but you need to do that. Like, instead of just using logic and like all these things you've told us, it's like you're doing it all wrong.
mm.
So that has been super helpful of like saying things like, I'm sorry you're going through that. Is there anything I can do to help? Yeah, just some of those really reflective statements. So yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because so you said that you didn't use that with her because she is an adult and she doesn't need that.
Yeah.
Do you think part of the also not just because she's an adult, but you said she puts out this alpha, I can do it myself
Yes.
persona.
Yes,
And so that exterior is like, well, she doesn't like say she needs me. Why am I going to go up and give her something that she doesn't say she needs?
exactly. Yeah,
Mm,
and everybody needs that. Even I need that. I love affirmation and validation. Like that's my love language. I love it when my wife tells me I'm a good husband or a good dad. Like I need to hear that. My wife always comes off like she doesn't need that, but I call bullshit. She needs to hear that. She needs to hear that she's a good mom and a good wife and a good business owner, a good stylist, and you know what I mean? And then I was using all these covert contracts in between, like, oh, because I help out with the salon, like if there's any like shelves or painting, whatever I do. So like if I could do this, I can get this, you know what I mean?
right.
I was doing it all wrong, you know what I mean? And, the one thing that we had a little chat last night is, she just wants to see this, like the 10-year ago. I mean, I'm not going to be a Drew I was 10 years ago, but like that confidence in me, like I'm secure in who I am and what I'm doing now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah. So
So if she was here right now and I would ask Jess, like, what was one thing that led her to say that she wanted a divorce? What would she say the behavior in you was?
I would probably say like my neediness would be the
Uh,
one. Yeah, being needy. And then I don't want to use like jealousy maybe isn't the right word, but being so like I don't want to pathologize myself, but I feel like have a little bit more of this avoidant personality disorder where I feel like everything she says is attacking me. So like,
mm,
every little thing can blow up, and I'm so sensitive to those things. And
mhm.
that's because I don't have this internal confidence. So I read into every little thing. And that's men see things like we need our needs met physically, women need their needs met emotionally. So I wasn't meeting that every time we would argue, and over time that her glass fills up,
Yeah.
so yeah.
Drew, I mean, how did the neediness really show up though? Like you said, so you say it shows up when she criticizes you, the way you react, you see that as neediness, or does it show up another way?
It shows up honestly like anytime because like my wife gets her validation and her needs met like from her coworkers, her friends, her job, all these other places. I don't have those things. I used to have those things. Like when I was in the Marine Corps, I had the brotherhood, I had my Marines, I had my job. You know, I was on top of the world. But then when I had all these external things and I didn't work on anything internal, like for 8 years in the Marine Corps, because they don't care about who you are as a person. Just show up and be a Marine. If you're awesome, you're gonna excel. If you're a shitbag, you're done. Like we don't care. Put you in headquarters platoon, get away. So I never really worked on myself, So from 18 to about 26, it wasn't there. So I've been needy on my wife instead of like on friendships or other places or hobbies or things that I'm interested in. And that's where I guess I'm kind of lost in this journey. So I've been so dependent on my wife to be my everything. You know what I mean? And that's been really hard on her, and I feel really bad, you know?
Mm, mhm.
So
Yeah.
that's where the neediness comes in, and then the jealousy where I get to like we got married, I had to start over, and then my wife gets to keep going, moving further in her business and her success, but then I have to start off from the bottom. And every person in the military would tell you like they think we can come out and be king shit. That's not how it is. You're going back to school, you're starting over from ground zero, and
Mhm.
that was hard at 26.
Yeah.
So Josh, that's the thing is like like my wife, she works long hours, so then we have a little girl together and like I'm like Mr. Mom. Like I get her dressed, I do all these cute fun I do her hair, I do all these great things. Like I think any other woman would be like, oh my God, that's so attractive. Jessica doesn't see it that way. And I do all these fun, great things. And like I feel like I'm kind of in this feminine role in that sense because like my work schedule, like I'm straight Monday through Friday, like 8 to 4:30. So I'm always available. And it's like, I don't want to be always available because I want her to want to need me and want me, you know what I mean? Like intimately or emotionally, but it's like I'm always available, you know what I mean?
Mm,
So that's where like I'm kind of struggling in that sense of like I can't not be available because we have a little girl together. Like if I don't do it, she can't do it. You know what I mean?
mhm.
So I want her to step in her feminine role, but she can't because of her job, So
So I guess I'm not going to sit here and deny that that's what you believe, but then why is she with you? What do you provide her with, Drew?
yeah, that's
And don't say anything about being a good father. I mean, her. What do you provide her with?
I knew you were gonna ask a tough question like that. So like I've always been like her rock and her support, and um a lot of people have asked me, like when I first got with her, like, why are you giving up everything you love for this woman? And I just felt like, she needed that. Like I was like I've always had such a big heart. You know what I mean? I wear my heart on my sleeve. You know what I mean? And you know, yeah. I'm sorry. I wish I had a better response. But just being, I guess, being everything that she never had gave me some sort of validation. You know,
Mhm, mhm.
like kind of being like the when I was a platoon sergeant, like you have a melting pot, all these different young kids coming in the Marine Corps, like some were felons, some were criminals, some were that's all over the place. And like just kind of being like their big role model gave me the sense of validation and purpose.
Mm.
So I guess I was still pursuing that mindset.
But what are some of the other benefits you've seen? So like you mentioned, there's more connection in sex. What are some of the other things you've seen since joining the program positively?
Um, I would have to say like the way like this is all about me, like the way I speak to my wife. You know what I mean? I can't be accountable for the way she's always going to talk to me. She's going to go through her stresses, her triggers, whatever it is. But I can just be accountable for me. So like the way I'm being mindful, when she is stressed or she's angry about something. So that is something that I find like I'm being more cautious of. Um, my accountability is huge. So like, when I wrote my CLC and like the things that I'm going to be accountable for, like reading my books, the support groups that I'm doing, for other veterans and stuff. So yeah, so some of those things.
Yeah, so Drew, those are the things you're doing successfully, which are beautiful. But what are the fruits of those labor? Like what's been going on positively?
I think my wife has seen me establish more security and be confident, in that sense. So I think the biggest thing is like maybe my attitude is changing. I'm starting to be a little bit more positive because I love negativity. I loved it. Like the military, the Marine Corps, they love negativity because they want you to thrive in a negative environment. Like they would withhold food and sleep from, I mean, you know what I mean? We love negative environments. So I'm learning, and this is hard for me to say, I'm learning to become more positive. Like I have to see the positivity in my situation. Like I work from home and it sucks. I hate it sometimes. And I climb these walls, you know what I mean? But I have to find the positivity in it. So like my purpose, being with my little girl in the morning, getting her ready for school, picking her up from school, just kind of being everything that she needs me to be. So establishing seeing the positive light in my day-to-day routine. I think my wife is starting to see that. So that has been something, she's noticing. And just the reflective listening, the way I talk to her, like not trying to solve all her problems. You know what I mean?
Mhm,
So I know those are some of the really basic things, but those
mhm.
are just, I have to say, like she's really noticed. And she's told me, she's like, I noticed you're being more positive. And like we were doing a dinner or date nights once a week, which are good. So yeah, yeah.
That's good. Yeah. So just to kind of recap, ultimately what you've been struggling with was the neediness a little bit and being overreactive, logical, everything I talked about, right?
Yeah.
Um, and you are focusing on that, you are seeing some results, but I think for you, the next stage is really tapping into like, what do you provide your wife? Like, where's the value that you give her? And I think you have to get outside of your logical brain for that, right?
Very
Because
good. Yeah, I do.
man, I don't know if this is going to be helpful or not. It's helped me when I've thought about this thought experiment, but like, a caveman back in the day, right?
Yeah.
Like when he was with a woman was with him, like what was he doing for her that gave her value, right? It was protecting her, right?
Right.
And providing for her.
Yeah.
Other than that, like if one caveman had, a stockpile of more meat than the other, does it necessarily mean that one caveman was more like valuable? Maybe, I don't know. But like I think what you need to do is like stop equating your value to these external metrics, like your salary, and
Yes.
focus on other domains of your life that you do provide value for her that are literally universal, even if she's not showing it
Yeah.
externally in herself. It is universal that when you are there with her and you're leading more in the relationship, you're taking decisions, you're being unreactive, you are using humor more, like you're your most authentic self, probably the guy you were when you first met her. I'm assuming,
Yeah.
in a lot of ways. If you lean into being that guy like you were 11 years ago and you stop placing these kind of numbers as like equated to your value, it's gonna change the relationship in a positive way.
That's 100% it. I mean, when we first met, I was still having that successful brain. I was successful in the Marine Corps. I was coming out and I thought I was gonna be a police officer and finish school and all these great things were gonna happen. Absolutely none of them happened. Like my whole plan changed and nothing worked out. And I was back in college and then it was
All right,
thanks,
brother.
Josh. I really appreciate it, man. Thank you for taking the
Of
time
course.
today. Yeah.
Of course, man. Have a great day.
Yeah, you too. Take care. Yeah,
Bye.
bye.